Yo, what's going on, everybody? Welcome. Glad you're here. We got a lot to discuss. I went live a little later tonight than originally planned. I was going to go live earlier today, but was unable to. So, I'm glad we could be here. Do me a favor. Like, share, and if you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Yeah? Sharing is caring. You guys know this. Sharing is caring. Let's get the chain in the picture a little better there, huh? Oh, it's the reflection there. It's glistening in the light there. Okay, we have a poll that is up and available. We're talking a little bit about the NIL and all sorts of stuff. Like I said, we've got a lot to cover. But the poll is Arkansas will do better in the portal this year compared to last year. Now, that is based on the idea, and I think we all feel very confident that Sam Pittman will return for a sixth season, despite many people feeling like he should have, the standard should have been 7 or more wins. But, I think he's 95% positive, unless there's some form of interventions from somewhere, whether that's board of trustees or I don't know. He's back. Let's just put it like that. You almost feel like you could put that to bed. I don't know what's going on with YouTube chat today. I'm going to tell you guys, it's been acting. I was testing it. I was going to go live right at 5:30, and I noticed YouTube chat in the studio, it keeps connecting and disconnecting. I don't know what that is. It's been doing that more and more lately. No idea. My internet is fine. Everything on my end is fine. OBS. Now, you know how OBS is. Sometimes it'll just dump. It'll just take the night off. But if I miss a comment or something, make sure you tag me. Super chats will always be read. Super chats are also stored on my live chat feed, or on my fan funding feed, rather. So, anyways, take the poll. Remember, we're keeping that in mind, that Sam Pittman will be back for a sixth season. Arkansas will do better in the portal this year compared to last year. Some of this is coming off the words of what Sam had to say today, and we're going to go over all of that. Jay Bandit says, won't be watching this show if Pittman stays. Sorry, Jay. I mean, what do you want me – is that a shot at me? Like, I don't understand. What do you want? Like, it's weird that anyone would want to punish a show based on what the school does. I don't know. Maybe that was just in general you're tired of Arkansas mediocrity and you don't want to watch anything about it. That's fair. I'm going to tell you something right now. I had a lot of people say that last year too, and guess what? They're here. I say a lot of people, a few. Not necessarily targeted at me, but they're going to stop consuming media content, Arkansas media content, and they're here. So I just can't buy into the Razorback BS. Jay, are you new here? Like, are you new? I mean, really, man. Either that or maybe you just dip in for like 5 minutes and you leave. You might want to listen to the whole show. We've been pretty damn hard on Sam Pittman. We've been pretty damn hard. While there are some things that you could take away and say, okay, I see this point of view, because that's what we do here. I don't just rag on a coach just to rag on him. I'm going to point out the good and the bad. But I don't know, man. I don't know why you would take that out on my show. You're not going to watch this show because of that's fair. If you're just tired of Arkansas being bad and you don't want to consume any content on the Hogs, that's fine. That's fine. I get it. Boo this man. Boo this man. I got jokes. I got plenty of them. Hey, shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes, better than best results. They also will check out your garage and everything for free. They'll just come look at it. Free estimates, I should say. Hundreds of 5-star reviews. Travis is going to be like, bro, you're wording that all wrong. You're killing me. 501-244-3667. I've been reading the same ad read for how long now? 3+ 3+ years. Gotta love it though. That's my boy. Travis Ford is my boy. Give him a call, man. 244-3667. They operate in Northeast Arkansas, Northwest Arkansas, Central Arkansas, hell, even sometimes in the surrounding states. So yeah. Check out the link. And by the way, they also, Direct Service Overhead also has a page on Discord as well. You scroll up to the top left part of the Tusk Talk Discord, you'll see their information there, some of their reviews and some of the things that they've done. All right. Let's read some more comments here really quick. Let's go. Ty's always been a good podcast. I'm just fed up. Honestly, I will watch. Okay, Jay. I'm glad we could strong arm you into watching. Listen, I understand the frustration 110%. Bro, there is no one that suffers more than someone who gives a lot of money to the university, pays to fly in or travel, whatever, fly or drive. Driving's more dangerous. Paying for tickets and going to the games and going to the concession stands and spending all that money, or maybe you're a season ticket holder and you go to every game just because you love your Hogs. Those people pay. I mean, they're paying dearly for some of the mistakes by the university. And then you got guys who cover them exclusively. I don't cover anybody else but the Razorbacks, and it hurts, especially when you've got. I mean, this has been a growing space for years, so it's getting harder and harder when the Razorbacks suck. Nobody cares. They're less likely to click and watch, but I'm still going to be blunt and honest. People don't want to hear me do that. Brim called in on our post game, and it wasn't just Brim. It was everyone who called in. It was, that you could tell that people were just kind of upset, right? And I had a text message, actually 2 text messages, a family member and a friend who said, Ty, you let callers go in too long. You let them go on too long, and they're too negative, and all you guys do is bash Green and Pittman and everything. And I said, well, first off, I did feel like that post game. It did feel like when I was done with it, like it felt the same, like after watching a loss. It did have that kind of feel to it. It did. And I get what they're saying, but I also let callers, I think if they're making some good points, I'm going to let them talk, especially if they don't have callers lined up behind them. I'm going to let them talk. So I know it's weird after giving Louisiana Tech the worst loss they've had all year. I mean, this is a team that just went on the road and beat Western Kentucky, who, let's be real, how would you have felt if Arkansas had to go to Western Kentucky? Although, to be fair, Arkansas's actually played some of their better ball on the road, ironically, over the last 2-3 years. But, and for someone like Louisiana Tech to go on the road and beat them, and how good their defense has been, and how close they have, 3 overtime games this year, a lot of close one-possession losses. And Arkansas took them to the woodshed as the game went on, right? So it did feel maybe we went a little too hard. Funny enough, no one in the comments said anything about that. This is 2 text messages that I got, and then in another group chat, a couple of guys in there giving me a hard time about, man, I feel like we just lost a game watching that post game. And I said, you're not wrong. I get it. Hog fans, I mean, and that's the thing I think that we all understand is that this should be better. That's what's so frustrating and why it seems like, man, there's a lot of negativity out there. And for the people who don't feel like there should be, right? Oh, you should celebrate 6 wins. Print T-shirts, because they did that. Celebrate 6 wins. Cool. But it feels like they should be further ahead, especially in year 5 under Sam. That's all. Shout out to Patreon supporters. Guys, you don't got a lot of time left. 5 days left, technically 4. If you want a shot at one of these autographed cards, Jalen Tate, the unsung hero autograph, Jalen Tate. Look, I got the tape on there. Month of November, it's ready to go. I want to add your name right there if I could find it. Right there. I want to add your name, become a legendary status member, and you'll have a shot at winning that card. It gets better. Bobby freaking Portis. Autographed. I want to put your name in the top left. And then one of my all-time, listen, This guy put the Razorbacks on his shoulders. JDN, baby, JD Notae. Madman. Not just in March either. He was that energy you needed. You could feel it when he started coming off the bench, and then when he became a full-time starter, one of my favorite Razorbacks. I wonder how far they would have gone without JD Notae. Just saying. I know it was a group effort, good players around him and everything, but okay. Razorbacks in the AP Top 25, they got a bump. They're up to 19th now. For those that put some stock into rank, and I know not everybody does, I'm going to tell you you shouldn't. This week could be a pretty big boost for the Hogs. First off, take care of a bad team tonight. We're going to talk about them here in just a second. But then you got Illinois on Thanksgiving. Illinois has one loss, which was a somewhat close game to Alabama. They play Little Rock tonight, so you might, I don't know if that'll be, I doubt that's on any of the main networks, but Arkansas will play Illinois on Thanksgiving. What is that, 3 p.m. tip-off in Kansas City. So the SEC in the top 25, you guys, this is I cannot remember a single time maybe I'm wrong. You guys help me if I'm getting it twisted here. Listen to this. SEC in the top 25. Now, to be fair, only one team in the top 5. I think I don't have a problem with it right now, especially considering you've had some early losses that are a little surprising. Auburn at number 4, Tennessee at number 7, Kentucky at number 8, Bama all the way back to 9th. I'm telling you, just wait till March. Bama's, I think they're going to be world beaters. They're going to be tough. Florida, so then you got to drop off. You drop back 9 spots. Florida at 18th. I told you guys, watch out for Florida and Mississippi State. These are 2 teams no one's talking about. Ole Miss, Stephen Beard, year 2 at Ole Miss. Come on. Arkansas at 19th. A&M at 20. Ole Miss at 23. Mississippi State at 25. This is ridiculous. Imagine this. Let's be real. If Mike Anderson was still the head coach, you would be the bottom of the SEC. You'd be the bottom of the SEC. Let's be real. The game just passed him up. I loved Mike. I loved him. That was my boy. That was my guy. Wanted him to be so great here. We know he was an assistant under Nolan, so on and so forth. You thought, Mizzou fans, oh man, they panicked. It was pretty funny, really. Number 25, Mississippi State. No Missouri in the top 25. Again, who cares? It's rank. Who cares? Should Arkansas be higher? That's the question, right? Like, should they be higher? Should they be lower? I'm going to be real with you. Tonight, they're playing, well, we'll get into that in a second. But I think I really wouldn't have been butthurt if they left Arkansas out of the top 25. I just wouldn't have been. I get that they're playing with that short rotation, and that's part of the reason why. They just kind of are what they are, right? That's the whole point of AP Top 25. Like, where are you right now? Not where are you in end of January. It's where are you right now? That's the whole point of the AP Top 25. And I don't know that I'd even put Arkansas. I might put them at like 25th. Even with their 7-man rotation, they're still better than several of those teams, but we've not seen them. Boy, it sounds so familiar, does it not? I've not seen them play a full game on one end of the floor to the other, on 2 different rims. I've not seen them put together a solid game yet. If you count the exhibition game against KU, but that was different. You had different personnel somewhat, right? You had more guys available. Had guys banged up. So did KU, a big-time player banged up, not available for that game. I haven't seen it. And that's the whole point of AP Top 25. That's the whole point of the coaches poll. That's the whole point. Like, where are you at right now with these guys? I would say Arkansas is probably the 8th best team in the SEC right now. And that's harsh. I know. Potentially, I think they could be top 3 in the SEC. Potentially they have a very, very high ceiling, but they did last year too. But to be fair, we know what was going on with that head coach. Hindsight being 2020, we know now. You talk about costing a team a season. I'm going to stand by that. I knew something was weird in December. I knew it. I could feel it. You guys did too. I saw what you were saying in chat. Something was off. And now we know. That's what sucks. Our KenPom, I have not paid a lot of attention to KenPom because this early in the year it's rough. Our KenPom ranking isn't pretty, but we are 9th in defense right now. Fair enough. But it's the rhythm, the flow. They just lack it on offense. Now, I'm hoping I'm hoping we're getting to a point where we can expect 9 threes a game. I would love to get to that point. It seems like they're doing a little bit better of finding, finishing better at the rim. Their layup numbers are better. They're starting to. It looks to me like they're finally kind of getting into the groove of playing better around the post on defense, but it's still just too many open looks for opposing offenses outside. It's gotten better, and listen, tonight you're going to have to take with a massive grain of salt because these guys tonight are not good. Again, we're going to go over it here in a minute. But if you don't beat these guys by 25-plus points, and again, I know it's short end rotation. I don't know. I get that. They're not at full strength. Arkansas's not, but you've got to beat these guys by 25. I think the spread is like 33 and a half, which is hard for anybody to do, especially when at the end of the game, like we've talked about in football, when a game gets out of hand, you start just taking plays off. Let's be real, guys. It's not playing with the same level of intensity. It's hard to win games by 30-plus points, but these guys are bad. You talk about KenPom, they're like bottom of the bottom in KenPom ranking. They're not a good team. Got a couple of scores though. So yeah, I don't know that I'd put Arkansas in the top 8, top 7 in the SEC. Maybe right there at like 8. I don't know. Yeah, 8 would put them at like 23rd in the country if we're just comparing them to like the SEC and how they're ranked in the AP. I don't know. You guys tell me. What do you think? Again, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Please share. Sharing is caring. I would appreciate that. Yeah, and Cheesy Skull, that's the point that I'm making. They don't have the depth right now to be. I just don't think they're top 25. Unbiased Brim says win by 40. They should like 40. They should win by a large margin, no doubt about it. They should. Let's get into this. What's next on the list here? We got recruiting, right? Yeah, we got big news here. Big news. This guy right here, JJ Andrews. He's going to be visiting. He will be visiting Arkansas. 2026 top 25 recruit. He's also got visits planned with LSU, Oklahoma, and Marquette. I'll just say I really, really like Arkansas's odds here, not just because On3's saying it, but I like what I'm seeing here. He is an ESPN 5-star, 6'6", 195 out of Little Rock Christian Academy. Again, part of the 26 class. But he is a 5-star on ESPN. And he's a highly ranked player nationally, no matter outside of rivals. I mean, ESPN has him as a top 15 player. 247 says he's a top 25 player. Oh, okay. That's my classmate's son, Sean Andrews. Okay. Yeah. We know the name. He's big time. That's a big time. And this is what they're talking about, the in-state talent in Arkansas. It's just, it feels like it's miles above football. It just does. So he will be visiting. And that's good. That's not a surprise to anybody. But we're looking forward to that. On3 has him as the, let me pull that back up here. On3 has him as the 34th overall player in the country, 10th overall shooting guard, number 1 player in the state of Arkansas. Yeah, he's unanimous number 1. Actually, okay. Yeah. Rivals doesn't have that for whatever, or On3 doesn't have that on their list for Rivals, but big time player, man. So that's a must get for obvious reasons. You feel pretty good about getting this one. Hog fan 40 ounces. I hope we get Andrews. Yeah. I hope we get him, but Sean says it's up in the air. Well, yeah. He would know. You're not wrong. If MA was still our coach, I'd probably be watching Montana basketball. Oh, that's cold-blooded. AR says to be bowl eligible 4 out of 5 years in the SEC is a significant accomplishment. Okay. One of those years, now AR, don't take this personal. One of those years was bullshit. Come on. 2020 shouldn't have even had a season. Shouldn't have had a season. And they did. Don't give me this, well, they were selected. Yeah, they're an SEC school. They knew with teams getting wiped out because of COVID and all this stuff going on. Yeah, of course Arkansas got a offer to go to a bowl game. They won 3 games. Like the whole point, right, at least in a regular season, is to get to 6 wins, get to 500. Now, there have been some teams that are sub 500 that have gotten into bowl games. I really don't understand that. I think it has something to do with grades. I don't get it. I think there's just like this, you have to send somebody to a bowl game out of selected conferences, and I don't know. I'm sure that has something to do with contracts and all that, and obligations fulfilled by the conferences to the bowl games. I don't know, but you didn't even win. You won 3 games. So I hate it when people say, "Oh, well, 4 out of 5 years, that's pretty good." Listen, 3 years of bowl eligibility is good. 3 out of 5 is good. I'm not trying to swat that away as though it's not anything at all. You're not wrong. And to do that in the SEC, and the fact that you did beat Auburn on the road. Yeah, they're bad, but you know what? You beat an SEC team on the road. You beat Tennessee, a 2-loss team right now, Tennessee. But then that's overlooking all the other things that just went wrong this year. And again, I don't know. Like it's a broken record. It's annoying to have to say it again, but the Oklahoma State fallout, look how bad that team is. Look how bad they are. They're bad. They're really bad. You know, the way you played against UAB, LSU coming out of a bye week, Ole Miss. Yeah, I mean, it's great. You made a bowl game. But let's face it, getting to 6 wins and getting bowl eligibility, it is a participation award. You participated. You won half your games. Congrats. Here's a bowl game. I'm happy for them. It's big. You shouldn't turn it down. Of course not. Especially when you're in Arkansas's situation. You need those practices. You need that time. You know, you talk about development, off-season development. That's big to get an opportunity to go to a bowl game. But, yeah, I mean, it just feels like they should have won more, right? I mean, at least a couple more games. I'm glad they won 2 more compared to what they did a year ago. I mean, I'll give you that. Bowl game talk. And Brim says bowl game talk is bullshit. 7-16 in the SEC in the last 3 years. 5 games lost at home by 24 or more points. Missed me with that crap. I mean, there you go. It's, you know, great. You went 3-1 in non-conference. I don't know. It's hard. I'm happy they're going. I'm happy we get more Arkansas football. But yeah, you feel like they should have won at least a couple more games for sure. And you don't like the way you don't mind a loss to teams like Ole Miss and LSU. Although now that loss is starting to look worse and worse when you look at how poorly they played. I don't know. It's the way that you lost some of these games. It just makes you shake your head. Heartbroken Hog says being bowl eligible is the expectation in the SEC. So do we call Steven 1383 says, so do we call Pitt a 4-year coach and not a 5-year coach? Not that it should lower expectations. If you're talking about me and what I said about 2020, I mean, I don't know. You call it whatever you want. But, I mean, I know this much. 2020, I'm definitely not trying to take a dump on that season because you got to remember what you were coming out of. And the fact that you were in position to win 4 conference games was huge. It was huge. And that next season, I felt like they're going to do something special. And they were. That was a really good team. All right. Arkansas versus Maryland Eastern Shore. The Hawks. That's who they are. They're the Hawks. They play in the MEAC. MEAC conference. Norfolk State, South Carolina State, Howard, Morgan State, Delaware State. They're in that conference. And then Maryland Eastern Shore. They are currently 2-6. No wins on the road. They do have a couple of guys. Katron Shaw, if I looked at this correctly, and I almost want to take another look at this person. Shaw is kind of balling out for these guys. He's getting about 33 minutes a game. He's averaging 21 points, 5 boards, 4 assists. I don't know what is up with ESPN. Why did you do that? ESPN crashed on me. But this guy is playing out of his mind. Really good player. Really good scorer. Now, they did play Vanderbilt to start the year, and they lost by 40. I mean, they lost by 39 points. 102-63. They lost at Penn, and, of course, that was at Vanderbilt. Bro, I don't know what is going on, but ESPN keeps crashing. Arkansas right now, 33.5-point favorites. They give their matchup predictor, they give Maryland Eastern Shore a 1% chance of winning this game. Yeah, I mean, they have scored 100 points in one game. They scored 113 points. They beat, I don't even know who this is, Gallaudet, the Bisons. They beat them 113-58. Their other game they won was to, oh my God, Penn State, Schuylkill Nittany Lions. It sounds like a rugby team. I don't even know. They lost to Murray State 79-61. They lost to Illinois 87-40. So Illinois plays Little Rock tonight. Arkansas just played Little Rock, and now these guys got to play Little Rock in their next game on the 27th. So Arkansas and Little Rock, familiar foes here. They do got to play at UConn. Did you guys watch that UConn-Memphis game tonight? That's part of the reason why I kept delaying, because I had to go to Walmart, I had to go do something at Walmart, and Walmart was batshit crazy. I came back home, but by then the overtime, I didn't get to see the final seconds of overtime, but I watched a good part of it. That was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. Definitely this year. UConn was trailing by, I think, 14 points, got it into overtime with the last second 3. What a ball game. Like, these guys were not missing. I don't know what they were shooting in the final 10 minutes of regulation, but it had to be north of like 70%. I mean, it was crazy. They weren't missing. It was a damn good game. So, again, Arkansas favored heavily tonight. They do, again, they have some guys that can put up points. This Ketron Shaw, 21 points a game, man. 5 boards, 4 assists. He's only turning the ball over 3 times. They're not a very good free throw shooting team at 65%, but they are shooting close to 45% on the year. They're 36% outside, so that's pretty decent. I don't know what their shot attempts are. And they've got a couple of guys in the 6+ rebounds per game. Christopher Flippin, who's getting, I mean, he's almost averaging double-doubles. He's got 11 points a game and 6.4 rebounds per game. But they're just not good. I mean, everything I've read about these guys, I have not been able to watch anything on them. But everything I've listened to and read about, they are bad. It's a really bad team. Junior forward Trevin Brazil doing pregame stretching. Okay, so maybe they get Brazil back. So maybe they get an 8-man rotation tonight. That's interesting. Again, take the poll, guys. Arkansas will do better in the portal this year compared to last year. I probably should have been more specific. That is obvious. It's obviously about football, but, you know. Here's I like this take. This is Ben Brandon on Twitter. He's a good follow, man. I need to reach out to him, get him on here. But he says Maryland Eastern Shore is the worst team Arkansas will face this year. They're currently ranked 359th out of 364 Division I teams on KenPom. For comparison, Pacific is ranked 279th on KenPom. Vanderbilt beat them by 39 on opening night. Illinois beat them by 47. And he points out, dominate as you should, stay healthy, find some confidence for Jarnell Davis and Carter Knox. Couldn't agree more. Right there you go. That's all that needs to be said. We can move on. Mason Huckabee. Oh, I appreciate the kind words, man. He says, Tusk Talk with Ty, #1 podcast in Arkansas with a one-man show. That's right. There's not many of us. By God, we're here. Playtime is done, says dude. Gallaudet is the National University for Deaf Students in Washington, D.C. No, you're playing. You're kidding. Oh, no, man. Are you serious? You're bullshitting me. I get bullshit a lot on here. I'm going to look this up. Hold on, dude. How do you spell that again? Gallaudet University. It's a private university. Oh, my God. The global leader in education for deaf and hard-hearing students. Oh, I better turn the captions off. Hey, I had deaf neighbors growing up as a kid, and they loved me. And I loved them. They used to make sun tea. I'd never had sun tea, and it was delicious. I'm not trying to offend anybody. I didn't know that about them. Damn. Yeah, gullible type. No, that's really what they are. Gallaudet University, changing the world with a bilingual way. Yeah, I mean, I'm on their website. Oh, man, I might be cooked. Oh, damn it. YouTube gods, I apologize. I didn't say anything bad. Probably could have done without the captions comment. I can't believe you've never heard of. I'm sorry. I mean, Playtime is done is probably a Kentucky fan. I just assume when someone says something like that, I can't believe you didn't know that. Shut up. Lone Sportsman Outfitter said, shit, none of us knew, bro. I mean, what is he talking about? This guy's out here like, I can't believe. Shut up. Oh, man. That's tough. That's tough. My bad. Listen. My neighbors were awesome, okay? Shout out. Both of them, rest in peace, actually. Even state sign language is different. I'm not reading these comments. Y'all are going to get me cooked. Y'all are going to get me cooked. It was a nice play on words. What did he say? It's true. Yeah, Ty, it is true. Ty Brandon, it is true. I mean, I would share my screen here, but I've got sensitive information on my screen, so I can't share it. But, yeah, I mean, here's the link. I mean, I can do that. Here's the link. Right there it is. That's the link. My roommate in college was up for president of Gallaudet University. Am I pronouncing it right? Is it Gallaudet or Gallaudet? All right, I'm moving on. I don't want to. I'm going to make it worse. I'm just going to shut up. Oh boy. All right. We do have Sam Pittman. We got a Sam Pittman clip. I don't know. This kind of made its round on Twitter today. Here's Sam Pittman talking about NIL. This is I found this really interesting.
I don't think the portal will be quite as a big a deal for us because we have money. You know, we have not. You know, the first 2 years I was here, money wasn't an issue. It was scholarships and cost of attendance and all. We went from 4-20 to 9-4. Then NIL came in. We just didn't have the money that other folks had. We are now going to get back into that era, and maybe if it's even Steven, hopefully you'll see the team go back to what we did, what we were able to accomplish in our first 2 years.
I was wondering with the revenue sharing also, but just as far as the NIL side of things go, do you think you'll have more in that regard too?
I don't, but I think we can combine it. In other words, I think we can go a year contract over where we're at NIL with where we're going to be revenue sharing, combine it for a year's time. Possibly pay the kids like the NFL does, something percentile, OTAs, weightlifting bonus, all that. Not that we would do it. I'm saying like the NFL does it, and then pay them more during the season. The totality of the money would be the same, and so. We would do that, to be honest with you, Trey, whether revenue sharing was in January or whether it was in July, simply because the portal opens in April, and I don't think we want to pay equal increments all the way up to April, and then somebody goes in the portal. You know, I think you want to entice them to come back with more money during the season.
Okay, a lot to take away from that. Number one, no new NIL. So, and this is where transparency, I mean, I appreciate what he gave us there, okay? By the way, Sam Pittman, he's been on a blocking spree on Twitter. I mean, I had 2 people DM me today about it. I don't know why and I won't call out who they are, but one of them is in chat right now. He'll probably tell you it was him. He got blocked. Another person DM me and asked me why Sam blocked him. I don't know. I'm not Sam's press guy. I don't know why you're asking me, but why you got blocked. I don't know what you said. Some of the stuff I get, I've seen you guys are sharing it in Discord, and I get it. Like he's of course he's going to block some of that, and he's done that before. And then he got off Twitter. And then he got back on Twitter. But no new NIL? I mean, I get, Ty, they won 6 games. There's not a lot of excitement around the program. I get that. But what about all the stuff that the Arkansas Edge has been doing? You know, I mean, the upcharge at the concession stands, the new tier. So all that's gone. It's all spent. And then this is why transparency is key. And I get you don't want to put it all out there because nobody else is. And I don't know if it's as simple as you can just file a FOIA, the Freedom of Information Act, to find out what they're doing and what these collectives, trying to do it for collectives, trying to figure out what's going on. I don't know I don't know how that works. On the legal side of things, if you know a lawyer, if you happen to be a lawyer, I would love your take on all that, on if they could file a FOIA just to figure out what the hell is going on with the NIL. Because I'm telling you, if Arkansas doesn't do it, there's other fans at other schools that are probably looking to file a FOIA. Like, what is this? What's going on? I think it's a matter of time before they might be forced to be transparent. And then the other thing, and listen, they have their reasons. I'm not blaming the U of A for not being more transparent. They have their reasons. Why they don't want it all out there. Would you want your stuff all out there? Of course not, right? The other part of this is revenue sharing and combining it. And you heard him at the beginning of that. Let me play that again. Let me just play the beginning again.
I don't think the portal will be quite as a big a deal for us because we have money. You know,
they have money. So, and he's talking about combining the NIL and the revenue sharing. Everybody else will. If you're behind on NIL, then you're behind everybody still, unless I'm missing something. What am I missing? Now, I don't know what to expect as far as the portal. I'm sure there's going to be names that hit the portal, and Sam's talked about, you know, he's going to have some conversations with some guys. I think maybe he said it was this week or maybe it was after the Mizzou game where he's going to try and sit them down and convince them, like, hey, we need you back another year. You could probably list off who that could be. And I wonder how many of those are not just people looking to go into the draft, but also just people looking to get into the portal that he doesn't want to lose. But you're still behind the eight ball. Like, revenue sharing is everywhere. Everyone, we've talked about this now for weeks. If that's equal, if it's all equal on the revenue sharing end of things for every school, then you're still behind NIL, and he's telling you we don't have any new NIL money. Bro, you're still behind. Like, what the hell am I missing? What am I missing? Now, the good news is I do think you have a staff in place that many of these kids are going to want to play for next year unless someone just, tampering is still a thing. What am I getting tagged on now? If we have no new NIL money, why did he think Oaklawn Racing for donations? This is from Cam. Back on August 13th, 2024, I want to publicly thank, I can't read that whole thing, Louis Sella and the team at Oaklawn Racing for their generous donation to the Razorback Foundation. Well, that's to the Razorback Foundation. That's not, I don't think that's NIL unless he says it in a separate tweet. That's to the foundation. That's a little bit different. That can go towards facilities and equipment and things like that. But, I don't know. I don't know. That was bizarre. And I feel like that he was kind of asked that later on a little bit. And then there was this question about how do you balance trying to keep guys from entering the portal when you're talking about NIL and trying to keep in revenue sharing. How do you balance that out versus what you want to do in the portal? And guys, the line of scrimmage, I know this has been the ongoing, I don't know why this is an ongoing debate. It shouldn't be. We could sit here and point the blame out. I had someone leave me a comment today that I need to go watch another podcast, the way they break down Green and how he's missing reads, as if I haven't talked about that 1,000 times on this show. But the idea that the line of scrimmage doesn't need to be replaced on both sides of the ball, for sure on the offensive line. And Pittman even hinted to that today, talking about, how often his quarterback is pressured and how difficult it is to be successful when you're pressured a lot. And he is. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills, but he is. The fact that that's even a debate is wild to me. I'm not saying that Green is a perfect quarterback. Yes, there might be something going on pre-snap that he's messing up. I'm fully on. I agree. And Pittman brought up today about how he gets jittery as soon as the pocket starts to collapse a little bit, and he does. He panics. He doesn't know what to do. Pooh Bear DePlug says, if we lose by 30 to Missouri, can we grill Pittman? I don't condone going after anybody on social media. You're your own person. You're your own person, okay? I'm not, I'm not going to – you're an adult. I'm not going to tell you how to act. But I'm never going to condone going after somebody ever. The same thing, like I said, with Chad Morris. I didn't understand people going after his staff on Twitter. But you guys are grown-ups. But, again, they need so much help. And the secondary is also a big problem. Let's look at it this way. They're down a couple of guys on the end spot, and they're desperate. You're down two guys. Anton Jukic has been banged up. Nico Davier's banged up. I'm sure some other guys are playing hurt, and they're in trouble, right? And you could see it. It shows up on the field. Although they did pretty good against Louisiana Tech. They actually were able to get some consistent – I shouldn't say consistent. They were able to get – especially later in the game, they were able to get some pressure. But that's Louisiana Tech. Where's that been all year? And I love, too, that they asked him – I think it was Tom Murphy who asked, what's the deal with the lack of takeaways? Right? That goes back to Travis Williams. It goes back to that defensive staff. Like, what the hell is going on? A lot of it comes from Arkansas doesn't disrupt the timing between the quarterbacks and the receivers. Not enough. And then on the other hand, the secondary is just cheeks, bro. They're just not good. There's guys back there I like. The Metcalfs, I'm excited for the Metcalfs. I want them both back. I think Hudson Clark has had some good moments. He's not a corner. I know why they put him there. He's got starts. He's got experience there. They're worried about that. But that should tell you something when Hudson Clark is starting at corner. Again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but this was stuff that I noted coming out of spring camp. This was stuff that stood out to me. And the same thing could be said of the offensive line. They're not too deep there. You don't feel comfortable across all 5 positions on the offensive line. It's the same thing on the defensive line. Linebacker core has been better. Linebacker core was actually pretty outstanding. Secondary's not deep enough. In your wide receiver room, what is the talent level really like in there? And one of the reasons why I changed my pick from, I think I was 5, maybe 4 wins coming out of spring camp. One of the reasons why I went up to 6 was because I liked what I saw out of the receiver room. And yet I wonder, it's outside of Andrew Armstrong, the one-man show, it's not been great. And for anyone who I guess thinks I'm not hard enough on Green, God dang, did you not watch the post game from Saturday? Do you not watch my whole live shows? Like, and this goes to the guy that left that comment that told me I need to go listen to DJ Williams. Bro, I listen to DJ Williams. That's part of the equation. That's part of the whole thing when I'm putting it together. You know, maybe I need to give him more credit. Maybe I don't give him enough shout outs, but not that he needs any from me, but that's a part of it. That's me talking to other people who watch the games, who played the positions. That's me talking to people, and that's me watching the games twice. I have griped about Green almost all year long. I don't know. I think some people, because I don't say exactly what they want me to say or what they want me to say, they don't hear that they want me to just flat out bombard Green, I guess dedicate every show I do about shitting on Taylon Green. I'm not going to do that because I do think there's been some good out of Taylon Green. And I brought this up that I think there's one of 2 things happening here. Option A, which is we're in the middle of watching a Petrino offense develop, and it's not super pretty, right? It's not always fun to watch. They're not scoring points. The quarterback's missing wide open receivers. By the way, I saw Jackson Dart do that a lot too. Saw some really good quarterbacks do that also this year. And you know what? He just does it a little more. I'll say that, but he has gotten better in some areas. I'm not going to dedicate an entire show to talking about Taylon Green when it's an entire shit sandwich. I'll say it again. It's an entire. It's not just as simple as replacing Green and all of a sudden you're going to win 9 games. You have deficiencies across the board, my friends, and they got to get them addressed. So him talking about the shortage of NIL and the belief that revenue sharing somehow evens all this out, I don't know. It makes me curious for sure. Like what does this look like? And again, if you're a Patreon supporter, you're going to be able to keep up with all of it. We have 2 names right now on the portal target list, and it's about to grow. In fact, I might be adding 1 or 2 more here in the next few days. And then that list, you're just, like I said, I may have to assign somebody, a mod, to help me keep up with this because there could be quite a few names. It's right there. It's portal targets. If you're a Patreon member and you're in Discord, you will have access to it. And then we have the portal commit page. And you could scroll up and look at it right now. It's all the guys from last year and where they're graded out at and all that. What their rank was out of the portal. It's all right there for you. It's a lot to keep up with, I'll tell you that. But I'm curious about how this season unfolds. But outside of Carmona, and here's the crazy thing. I think Arkansas's offensive line actually did. I did not get a chance to finish Louisiana Tech for a second time. I got about halfway through it. But I would argue that, that was probably about as good of a game as the offensive line has really played this year. But it's Louisiana Tech, you're supposed to. Taylor Green is his own worst enemy, and I will stand by that. If the offense is too complicated, dummy it down, because we are not going to have the same people year in and year out. I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that, Scott. I don't think you're entirely off base. Maybe they should. You know what? Did you guys watch Brandon Allen when he played for the Niners yesterday? Did you watch that? Now, unfortunately, I've watched a little bit of the Niners this year because they are in the NFC West, and I hate them. But if you go back and watch, or if you were watching that game, and of course he started off really good, then he ended up not playing very good. But I didn't finish the game. I don't know what he ended up doing, but I know they were down pretty bad by the time I had to turn it off. But BA, they simplified the offense for him. They simplified it. And he was rocking it. I think at one point he was like 12 of 14 with a touchdown and around 100 yards passing. He was nickel and diming the Niners. He found Kittle on a beautiful seam route right there up the middle. Hit Kittle. His first touchdown was a throw to it was a dart to Kittle in the back of the end zone. A little high, but put it to where only Kittle could come down with it. They had simplified the offense, and then they got a little bit more confident. They tried to open up the offense more, and it looked to me like of course the Packers had something to say about it, but that's when things started to turn south for the Niners. Now it's never smart to compare systems and players from college to the NFL. You don't do that, but what I will say is the approach in the beginning was the right approach. Simplify the offense for a guy that doesn't have a lot of live snaps. And they talked about it on the broadcast. And I kind of think at times that's what they need to be with Taylor Green this year, is to simplify the offense, bring the playbook down a little bit. We talked about that at the beginning of the year, and they started to do that, and we started to see his numbers climb. So all of his PFF deep – I'm not talking grades. I don't give a shit about their grades. I shouldn't say that. But I do – some of their grades are – I get it. But their deeper analytics, the deeper stuff, right, the passing depth, the depth tree and whatnot, we started to see him really excel. Still does good on the deep ball throws. His deep ball numbers are still really good. Him and KJ have that in common. They share something else in common, that they both had to deal with some pretty bad offensive lines. However, KJ followed that money down to UCF, and it did not work out for that guy. Go back and watch Blackstock. Yeah. I'm not leaving a school that I'm doing great at just to come to my home school that is struggling with NIL. This is Mr. Kicks. I'm not sure what that's. I don't know what you're talking. I don't know if that's someone in chat you're responding to. So now Pittman buyout, some kind of SMU buyout, plus a contract for Lashley, says Bobby Shiz. I don't know, you guys, this must be a different conversation. TG is a great quarterback from the neck down, says you can't handle the truth. I think he gets deer in headlights for sure. 100%. I think as soon as that pocket collapses, he just – and I'm honestly surprised he doesn't have more picks. I really am. And I wonder, we'll talk about Mizzou on Wednesday, but can we have Scott Fountain coach up the team to not run into Centennial? Oh my God. How many times has that happened this year? How many times has someone blocking on punt return run into the punt returner? 2-3 times? Once is too many. I've never seen it 2-3 times in the same year. That's wild. It's about Rhett at SMU. Well, I understand that Rhett was brought up. I just don't understand the context of the entire conversation. Do you think KJ or Green would be better in this offense right now? Green, because KJ can't operate a pro-style offense. He can't do it. Or KJ can't. And to be fair, I think there could be an argument to be made too that Green doesn't fit this offense either. I mean, it really could. You really could make that argument that we talk often about square peg, round hole. His numbers are really damn similar to what he did at Boise State. However, I wanted to pull this up. I don't know why. You know what? I'm falling down the rabbit hole. And I said I wouldn't. But if you look at his total numbers this year, he's got 3,000 total yards of offense. 20 total touchdowns. Now I think he's got like 14 turnovers total if you include fumbles. But that's over 3,000 yards of offense total for him this year. And again, if you want to say Malachi would have more, bro, I have no idea. Then you know a lot more about Malachi than I do. I don't know. I mean, I'm only going to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm not saying that he wouldn't or that he would. Taylor Green this year is throwing right at about 61%, 2,500 passing yards, 468 rushing yards with 7 rushing touchdowns. He leads the SEC, I believe, in quarterbacks with rushing yards and rushing touchdowns, or it might just be one, not the other. He doesn't lead in total offense, but he's up there. The offense is, I haven't checked the offense this year or this week. I haven't checked it. Where are they at? What's the total offense? We know scoring offense isn't great. Total offense, last I saw, they were hovering around. I think they had to have dropped, right? Okay, no, they're actually up. They're 9th in the country in total offense. They average almost 460 yards. They're at 457.9 per game. That is right now good enough for second best total offense on the year. And by the way, when we talk about Bobby Petrino's offenses, we don't talk about what he did in SEC play. We don't. Nobody does. They look at his total yards. That's what they look at. That's why he's so highly praised. They don't go, well, he only did this in SEC play. He only did this versus ranked teams. They don't do that. Some people do, and it's worth doing, and I think there's something to that, especially if you look at his first 2 seasons. Different era, different time, right? It took longer to build from the ground up, which he had to do. But you're 9th in total offense right now. So this is why I say this is not all bad. And yeah, a lot of that is from non-cons. But again, like we mentioned twice, 2-3 times just last week alone, who hasn't played a shit non-conference schedule in the SEC? I mean, A&M played Notre Dame. LSU played USC. So let's just put it, and USC's terrible. Not as bad as Oklahoma State. Actually, that might be up for debate. I don't know. But Arkansas 9th in total offense. But the thing that matters, and I talk about this often, is scoring. And that's what I think hopefully is the next step that they work on in the offseason. I don't know. Yeah, Paul, we're in Ty's live show. What are you doing, Paul? Yeah, John, again, listen to what I'm saying. I always talk about that. That is typically when I talk about total offense, I want to know what you're doing in total points. I want to know what you're doing in scoring. But the point that I'm making is we didn't do that for Petrino, his all 4 years he was here. But one of the things, I mean, just in terms of like what he did in SEC play, we look at the whole thing, the whole picture. Scoring offense, and I mean, I've said this 100 times, that this has been the problem. This is what matters the most. But the fact that you are top in any offensive category, Jonathan Hawes, I mean, that's not bad. Part of the thing that we gave Arkansas so much trouble last year was that they couldn't move the ball. And they can. They can now move the ball. The problem is they can't score. First year quarterback with I should say first year in a new offense. So I'm getting off the I was not going to make that a talking point, but there are things to be hopeful for. And you know, it's ironic. Some of you who were, no, we got to keep Pittman another year, and now you're off that bandwagon. But I know what we're going to do in the offseason. And that's why that's why Mizzou, and what I mean is when I say we, I mean fans. We are going to point to the positives. It's easy to be negative about every damn thing when things aren't going the way that you want them to. It's so easy. But you shouldn't overlook the things that you did get right. And they are moving the football. The problem is they're not finishing off drives. They're not scoring, which is the ultimate. Again, anyone who actually sticks around and listens to the show, I've gone over that 100 times. Scoring offense is what matters. And hopefully, going into the offseason, that's the thing that they work on, finishing off these drives. More situational football, I'm sure, will be practiced during the offseason. Pittman loves to talk about it. But going back to where this all began, which is the NIL, you need change. You need change. If you're going to stick with Green, which I feel like this is where we're headed, because I don't think Malachi comes back. Jackson, I think, will be back next year. I mean, I want him to be back. How often do you have a dual threat, lengthy left-handed quarterback? You know, I mean, I'd love to see what he could do. I mean, I'll tell you right now, he looked like a freshman this year. Bobby had to stop. I remember the opening days of it might have been, I think it was fall camp, and he had to stop what the offense was doing on the other field to yell at Jackson for not snapping the ball quicker. And I mean, it was vintage Bobby Petrino. It was actually pretty pleasant. You know, I mean, I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of that, but to wrap a bow on this, they need change and they need it now. If they're going to keep all these guys here, then you need to load up Green with better weapons, and he's got to have better protection up front. That doesn't mean he's going to play perfect football. It doesn't mean he's going to be great. You know what? Green might just be Green, but I would sure like to give, even if, let's say you think he's a crappy quarterback, you don't think he's it, I would still, if he's going to be the guy moving forward and you're a fan of this football team, I want to give him the weapons. You might want a new coach and a whole new system, blah, blah, blah. I don't think any of that shit's going to happen. Just move on. If that's what you're wanting, I don't think it's going to happen. So what you want to do instead is to arm this offense with better weapons and better protection up front. And then you want to solve the issues that you have on defense. So I don't know, when he says he wants to combine the revenue and the NIL, how that separates you from anybody else, because everyone else is going to be doing the same damn thing. What's the number of wins a coach needs to keep his job at Arkansas year in and year out? I don't know. I mean, I would like to see him at 7 wins a year. I would love to see that. I don't know. I mean, listen, Houston Nutt, how many games did he win his last 2 years at Arkansas? I think it was 18, right? Had a heartbreaking bowl loss, and then he was fired before they could play in their, who was it? Mizzou, right? In their bowl game. And they had Petrino up in the booth, and they were talking to Petrino. It was very weird while the Razorbacks were on the field playing, and they're talking about him being the next head coach. It's a very strange, bizarre thing, but I remember being so excited. But they fired him after winning 18 games, I think it was, in the last 2 years. It's an average of 9 games a year. There was a time when Arkansas football had a certain demand, when the bar was at a certain level. And that's the point, is to keep raising the bar. And they've gone backwards since firing Bobby Petrino. They've gone backwards. It's been a shit show for the most part. Ty, I thought going into the year we had some pretty good weapons at tight end. We saw how that turned out. Well, yeah, two of them got the boot. Remember to like, share, subscribe. And I always end, because the Taylon Green topic is just, I mean, I'm over it, man. I'm going to tell you, I think what happens is he's going to be your guy. I mean, you just have to live with it. And, yeah, we'll complain along the way. We will. I want to see KJ Jackson. Let's give him a fair shot in the offseason. I don't think Malachi, and no, it's not like someone's telling me Malachi's not coming back. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I want a real battle in the offseason. That's what I want. My God, if we can win 7 games a year, that's 4-4 in the SEC. I would give anything for that right now. Well, that's where I think you should be. I think Houston Nutt was on his way to getting to that point. He won, again, I think it was 18 games his last 2 seasons. Why can you not get there? Bobby, his last 2 years, how many games did he win? 21? I mean, don't tell me that it's out of reach when I don't think it is. I just don't think it is. I don't think they're going to be a 5 to 6 win team every year. I think that should change. I think it will change. When? I don't know. 5 years, 2, 3, 5 years, I don't know. But I do agree with the sentiment that you're going to get better when the NIL improves. And that might take some time because it's hard to get behind the guy at head coach right now. It's hard for people to get excited about Sam Pittman. So the NIL, of course, again, I'm not surprised they're out of money. I'm not surprised that they don't have any new money outside of all the efforts from Razorback Edge. All right. Anyways, let's move on. I'm over it. 4-star wide receiver commits to Arkansas. This is a big one. I think it's Dequane Prevo. If it's Dequane, I swear to God, it's Dequane. It's got to be Dequane. Dequane. Now, I've followed him for a little bit. A&M was thought to be in the lead at one point in another. He was a 3-star on 247, but everyone else has him as a 4. I know I got him here somewhere. Where is he? Oh, I may have forgotten to give him his – oh, no. Hang on just a second here. I'll give you – let's see if I can pull this up. It's a good recruit out of Texarkana. Picture, screenshot, scroll down. I can't tell. The screen is so small. There he is. Here we go. There's Dequane right there. Not one of these like typical 6'4" receivers that we seem to the Arkansas likes, but Dequane, 5'9", 160 pounds. Again, he's a 4-star. Had offers from Texas A&M. From what I understand, these were all committable offers. These, everyone wanted this dude. They wanted Dequane. That's who they wanted. This is a big get, really. Texarkana playing at Liberty. He's considered a top 50 wide receiver just about everywhere except 247 for in the country. Rivals likes him a lot. They got him as the national player, 219th in the country. 15th overall wide receiver. 29th player, and again, from Rivals, they've got him as the 29th overall player in the state. Not too shabby. It's a good get. It's a really good get for Arkansas. There it goes. I blame John L. Smith. Just can't get the players. Too many other choices out there instead of Arkansas. Well, I mean, it would certainly help if, you got to win games. And we could talk about the narrative and how big this Mizzou game and how big the bowl game is. You could flip the narrative pretty quick. I mean, you really can. You could go into the offseason with a pretty simple narrative flip by winning out. Going on a winning streak, finishing with 8 total wins, and all of a sudden it's okay, what can we do next? Does that happen? That's – you know what? We'll talk about it on Wednesday. And we'll get into the whole narrative stuff and how that could change and how big of an impact that could have on the portal and recruiting. This 2026 class, though, you guys, it's pretty special. I mean, this is turning out to be – I mean, right now, according to 247, the 2026 class is number 10 in the country. Colton Yarbrough leads the way. It's 6'5", 225-pound defensive end out of Durant, Oklahoma. Javion Gilmore, quarterback out of South Carolina. Adam Austin, safety out of Lawton, Oklahoma. Of course, we just talked about Prevo. Tay Lockett, kid out of San Diego, California, who's a 3-star. He's a safety. This is, I mean, you need to hang on to every one of these commits, but Tay Lockett is a overlooked player. Overlooked. Travis Williams and Marcus Woodson all over this guy. 5'11", 170 pounds. Auburn has an offer on the table. Total 12 interceptions last 2 seasons. Shows a lot of range, ball skills, and ball awareness, says Greg Biggins. I love that last name, Biggins. National recruiting analyst at 247. Got to hang on to him. Taylon Lockett is a very underrated player. You got the kid out of Fayetteville, Tucker. You got Tucker Young out of Lakeside and Hot Springs, offensive tackle. And the recruiting class in Arkansas, I feel like we could dedicate an entire live show to. This is a very strong class to start things off with. 5 out of your top 10 players are 4-stars, according to 247. And yes, I do feel very comfortable about several of them. For sure, too. And we'll see where they're at here in the next, here in the coming months as the 2025 class comes to an end. We know we've got early signing period in December. 2026, but how many will stay? Well, I mean, that's part of it. I mean, yeah, you've already seen 2025 guys decommit. Ty Brennan says in-state recruits. What do you mean? What about them? Yeah, that's what I was talking about just now. Danny Beal, a must-get for Arkansas out of Cherry Valley. He's a 4-star, number 1 player in the state of Arkansas, according to 247. Ja'Cour Smith, linebacker, a little undersized. I have a feeling he's out at Parkview. I think he's probably going to play safety at the next level. I don't know, but he's got offers out the wazoo. Terry Hodges, running back, another kid. Another good back. A lot of hype around him out of Mark Tree. Evan Goodwin out of Pulaski Academy. Anthony Kennedy out of Maumelle. It's good to see Maumelle spitting them out. And that's just the 26 class, right? They're just getting started. You'll see that list fill out. You might see some guys drop, and you might see some guys get lifted up, but they're off to a really good start. Yeah, Crutchfield's redshirting at Mizzou. Yeah, did he not get? No, for some reason I was thinking he got banged up in fall camp for them, but I can't remember. I might be getting him mixed up with another player Arkansas lost out on. But yeah, 2026 is off to a good start for this class. If you're tired of the naysayers and you're tired of all the criticism and you want to go to the water cooler at work and you've got your negative friend, he's like, why would we want Sam back? Well, you could say, yeah, but that 26 class is pretty damn strong. So if he does stay and these guys stick around. By the way, Braylon Russell, his dad said that, I don't even know where the hell this is coming from, but I've seen enough people repeat it. I guess it's true that Russell's not going anywhere unless Sam Pittman's fired. That's the only way he would transfer. Can someone help me out where that started? Because I don't know where that's at. I think the big problem Arkansas high school football high school football isn't on par with other states. Other states are more into football than Arkansas. That's a very complicated issue. And I don't want to dive too deep into it, but I'm going to tell you right now, one of the disadvantages that this state has, there's so many. There is the lack of population. Look, man, there's 3 million people here. There's that many people that communicate to travel through New York City in the morning. I mean, there's just not a lot of people here. Number 2, you do have poverty outside of Northwest Arkansas. There's some poverty in NWA too. Don't get it twisted, but you've got poverty, towards the south and in the down in the Delta. Some schools just can't afford the good equipment and the nice facilities, right? You take a look at what Fayetteville High has, what Bentonville has. Springdale come a long ways over the years. But but it's just not working out. They're just not pumping out the caliber of player that maybe they once did. You know, I mean, if you listen to the old heads, they'll tell you all about how Little Rock, Fort Smith, you know, those were areas that could pump out really good players. One of the things I heard back in the 2000s or the early 2010s was that basketball, thanks to LeBron James and Wade and, you know, the big three with the Boston Celtics, it changed the landscape of basketball and it made it even more popular for kids, and they passed up on football, and their parents were fine with that because there's less physical danger when you're playing basketball compared to football, which could impair you the rest of your damn life. I still got a banged up knee and a back that I blame on high school football. I get it, you know, and basketball is obviously a big sport in this state, and they're pumping out a better pedigree of player here. The other thing that doesn't get talked about is youth development leagues. They don't have them on, available widespread throughout the state. You know, you look at Louisiana, Texas, I think even Oklahoma, you go further east, they're everywhere. Pop Warner leagues are a big deal. And I guess they have them here. I don't know who the hell has them now. When I was growing up, it was Kiwanis football. We've talked about this. Team Red, 2 years in a row, baby. 3rd and 4th grade. Go Team Red. We used to practice on the Ramey Junior High field, which years later I would play football at Ramey. But the Youth Development League in Arkansas is behind. Why? Because of money and resources. Again, this is a poor state. Mississippi, I guess maybe they have Pop Warner. They put out a more higher caliber of players than Arkansas does. Not by a widespread margin, but by a pretty decent gap. Maybe they've got Pop Warner or some other development league. We had Kiwanis, and Kiwanis was 2 weeks. That's all you got. You got 2 weeks of practices for 2 games, and that was it. It was really about it was learning about the position and learning how to put your pads on. That's really all it ever was. And then at the end, the parents basically got they got to watch a scrimmage. That's all it was. So I think there's a lot of things that Arkansas is just behind on. Northwest Arkansas is starting to pump out. I mean, over the years, when you talk about like Harbor, Fayetteville High, Bentonville, they are producing more talent than they probably did in years past, right? But that number, it feels like in Little Rock and Central Arkansas, went down there for a while, and maybe now it's starting to come back up. I don't know. That'd be a really good question for someone like Danny West or Mason Choate over at Rivals. Danny West, who works with Trey Biddy at 247. That'd be good questions for those guys who've kept up with high school recruiting for a while. I mean, I have, but these guys are on a deeper level, right? I kind of sat on the sidelines and just read what was going on in message boards and what was going on at Hogville and kept up with recruiting as much as was available for free accounts because I didn't want to pay. But that'd be a good question for those guys. Why doesn't Arkansas produce more talent? And I could go again. You get me started, it'll be a half an hour rant, but it's just one of those things that's very difficult to overcome. I really thought years ago, back when Darren McFadden was in the recruiting cycle, having worked for Sam's Club, Walmart, essentially, right? Walmart's the parent company. One of the things that we always talked about was how Bentonville was growing, and of course Fayetteville too, because of the university and all the jobs that are in Fayetteville. But all the transplants that were coming through Northwest Arkansas, and how maybe in the years to come we'll see a bolstered amount of players come out of Northwest Arkansas because they're having kids here and their kids are playing football. And we already have. We've had one of them actually commit and play here at Arkansas, a kid out of Bentonville I forgot his name already. Was it Joey Sua? Is that who I'm thinking of? His mom was a transplant. She worked at Walmart home office. She got a job offer and she went and worked at Sam's Club home or Walmart home office. He was a transplant. He was from like California or somewhere, but I'm getting that name wrong. It was Joey Sua, right? Am I getting that wrong? I feel like I'm getting that wrong. But anyways, I know one of them, they were a transplant. But we thought we'd see more of that, and that's not really happened. Not to the level that we thought that it would. And I kind of blame the lack of developmental leagues. And I think high school football is a big deal to those who pay attention to it in Arkansas. Maybe you don't, and so therefore you don't think the rest of the state does. Well, you're wrong. I mean, you're wrong. I've got a mod who literally works for or who owns a business covering high school football. So I'll tell you, there are schools that it's very serious. Just because you don't pay attention to it, or maybe you're an outsider and you just see the lack of talent coming out of the state, you believe otherwise. That's not true for the entire state. There are parts of this state that love high school football. Again, it's just so many other variables, things that are just tough to overcome. All right, I do appreciate everyone. I would really appreciate if you would like and share on your way out. Honestly, we aren't behind far as child development leagues, our university. I know this. When I was, again, and that was a long time ago, we didn't have Pop Warners. We had Kiwanis. And as far as I knew, maybe Little Rock had it. I don't think they did. I remember Keith Jackson Sr. going on Bo's show 12 years ago and talked about this being a problem. Keith Jackson Sr. talked about this being a problem. And Bo had other people that, had either coached here or went on to coach elsewhere talk about it, the youth development leagues, and that was just 12 years ago. Their claim was that we're behind. And I think that maybe it's not true today. Maybe it has gotten better the last few years. But again, I know up until about several years back, it was still a problem that people were still talking about it. So I don't know. Down south near Camden is big with football. Listen, it's a big deal in parts of Northwest Arkansas for sure. And I know South Arkansas, it's a big deal. We have the kids. Where are they? I mean, where are they? 3 million people? I don't know, man. Again, I think it's a very complex issue. When Arkansas goes 4-8 next year, half of them will flip to other schools. Oh, you're talking about the class of 2026 kids? Well, I mean, maybe. You might be right. I don't know. But it's at least a good start. Listen, would you rather them not have a good 2026 class? Would you rather them not have a good 2026 class? Edward Wilmoth. Would you rather them just stop recruiting? Because that's an interesting approach. All right, guys, basketball game's on. Shout out to Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company, same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. It's been fun. I love doing these with you guys. Check out all the links. Please provide for you down below. And I am not doing a post-game, by the way. No post-game tonight. I will probably be back on Wednesday. If I don't see you before then, or if I don't see you by then, I will be live on – plan is to be live on Thanksgiving for the post-game against Illinois. But I will be live – I'm planning on being live on Wednesday. So, yeah, that's it. And I will see you guys later on in the week. Enjoy the game tonight. I'll see you. Oh, we got to end the poll. Where did we end up at? No. You guys voted no on Arkansas will do better in the portal this year compared to last year. You might be right. You might be onto something. So, yeah. Okay. I will tell you guys, or I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy the game. Bye.